you stand for.
Oh, man.
I will break your goddamn ass. You ain't nothing but a punk bitch. Fuck you and every goddamn thing you stand for.
Bro, who invited this dude, bro? What the fuck?
So, bye.
I'd rather watch softcore porn than have to watch all of that.
Dude, whatever you're smoking, buy a ton of it.
I'm the greatest smack talking on the fucking face of the earth right now.
Then it makes me look like I got owned.
It's not clever. It's not interesting. It's not even funny.
You guys can't coach, to be honest with you. It's the high school coach.
Yeah, go ahead, Unabomber. What the fuck are you saying about the SEC, bro?
Well, this is smacking off. If you don't like it, change your diaper and leave.
You should be thanking me that I'm talking about Tennessee.
Boomer motherfucking Sooner.
U.S. is far better than Oklahoma historically.
Your meatloaf is moist as my pussy can. I promise you that one.
Don't be ridiculous right now, okay?
Fuck you, Freeze.
Please welcome our guest referee, Landon Beeman.
Bro, who invited this dude, bro?
You know what, motherfucker?
Just like
Hey,
man.
Your
own fan base is
Shannon.
Talk to me, baby. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm with you.
That would get so goddamn mad that he would tell us somebody how much he...
Dynasty's dead.
Yep.
Welcome back to probably going to be our final episode of Smacking Off the Podcast. I'm Shannon Madden. I'm joined with Doug Phillips, and we're hanging our heads in shame right now. I don't know. Do we just go ahead and go? Let's just go straight to Dane. Fuck it. There's no need to even just like try to extrapolate and just cram a whole season of emotions in a 5-minute blurb, and I just can't fucking do it. I don't have the will anymore. I'm done, son.
Man, how about that game last night?
Man, fuck you. I don't want to talk about that fucking game.
Oh, well, that's so sad.
Why are you on my airwaves right now? What the fuck do you have to say that wasn't said last night over and over and over motherfucking over again?
Touchdown Clemson.
How drunk did you get last night? Be honest.
It wasn't that bad, man. I only had a couple of, I was calling them elephant blood. It was Everclear Bloody Marys,
Jesus
and it was
Christ.
fucking fantastic.
Everclear Bloody Marys, man. What is wrong with you? You're gonna die.
Elephant blood, baby.
You're gonna die soon. You're too young and attractive to die like this, Clint. Dang. I'm here for you.
I'll check into rehab. It's off season.
Yeah, you got time to chill on this one. That was certainly the highest of highs last night for all the Clemson Nation. Good God Almighty, what a game for Clemson!
I mean, they put on a fucking clinic, man. All three phases. The offensive line was stout, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought
that O-line looked better than Oklahoma, who I believe won the award for best O-line this year. Made them look like high school kids. That was how an offensive line should be ran.
I mean, Trevor he pretty much had all day. He was sitting back there, cool as a cucumber, just dropping down.
Chilling, man, chilling. Hair blowing in the breeze.
He looks like
great.
If
the
Peyton's dog. I mean, he looks like Peyton as a woman. Does he not?
Yeah. Then the nose.
But he plays like Peyton as a woman.
They both have the same kind of nose. I wonder if
this is a new world. Women can play football.
I wonder if that's a trait among quarterbacks, that long nose. There's got to be something to that long nose. Didn't Joe Montana kind of have a honker like that?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I mean, not exactly like that, but I mean,
he's using it as a what do you call that on a gun? A sight?
Yeah. Using that big
the tip of that nose.
Actually, I think I am. I think I just cracked the code, so maybe I might do the podcast a couple more times now. I'm feeling a little bit better about this.
We're making scientific discoveries here on Smacking Off.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, you were able. It took a Clemson fan to come on this show and help me feel better about what happened last night. And I appreciate that, Dane. You were here. You were here for me.
Did you fart?
I know.
Okay. You did not.
But if I had, I guarantee you right now that young man from Clemson would have been able to smell
it. Get the fuck out, dude.
Damn.
Is he the one that I said looked like a bitch before the season started?
Yeah. You did.
I wish I wouldn't have done
I
that.
think you did that on the air. I think they probably
they
played
picked up
that.
on it.
They played that at
That
halftime.
to me, you asshole.
Yeah.
It wasn't you, was it?
It was.
I would never disrespect you. Like
To all Alabama fans,
Well, I
though,
mean,
he
I
did
didn't
look like a
feel
bitch last night. Straight up.
Yeah.
I believe I told you I didn't give a fuck what he looked like.
Saban looked like an ass clown last night.
I guess he didn't care either because he definitely thought very little of Alabama's defense.
I'm not ready to fire Saban, but he looked like a fucking ass clown last night. Did he not?
Saban was.
You could have put a red nose on him.
I've seen Saban cross his arms. You know, crossing your arms is usually that's a defensive stance. You know, there's a lot of psychology behind people that cross their arms. I cross my arms. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
But
what does it mean,
he was crossing his arms a lot, particularly toward the bottom half of the second half of the game. It was just bad. It was really bad. I felt for him.
So I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
At what point in the game did you concede that this is probably just not going to go your way?
I hate to say it. Going into the locker room at halftime, I had a really sneaking suspicion that it was just going to be more of the same. I had hope. I'm not. I'm a fan. I had hope.
At this point, it's not looking good for Bama going in the half. But
down.
If you're Nick Saban, do you throw Hurts out there in the second half, at the beginning of the second half, and just see if his skill set,
particularly after what happened in the Georgia game,
gets some kind of spark going, and maybe Bama can like pull up a little bit and make it an interesting game? Do you go with Hurts, or do you just keep going with Tua?
Are you asking for my personal opinion?
Sure,
yeah,
sure, and not your opinion as a Clemson
Hey,
fan.
look, your team won. You can talk so much mad shit right now; it's not even funny, and we're just gonna have to take it. I mean, that's just how it goes.
I would never do that. I have a lot of
Liar.
respect for what Alabama has. No, man, really. Like I respect Alabama and most of your fans. Some of them are a little off.
Yeah.
Name one. Name fucking one.
We all have those blind spots, but my personal opinion is I would have stayed with Tua. I mean, he's been the best quarterback he had. He took over last year in the middle of the
You do realize that Jalen come off the bench and won the SEC championship.
Well, and that's kind of
But that was because Tua was injured.
Tua was definitely injured last night. That's for goddamn sure.
He was not injured physically, but there was
his spirit was broken.
Tossed around a little bit. No, but I mean, I don't know. If I were Nick Saban, I probably would have tried anything. I mean, it didn't seem
And he did.
Y'all had any kind of answers.
A motherfucking fake field goal, and we're like fourth and like a mile and a half.
I couldn't believe that shit.
But
really, what shocked me and it kind of concerned me. I thought once you guys converted it, was when you went for it on your own 35-yard line and got it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it concerned me too. That concerned me too, Dane, but it was for a different reason than it concerned you. That showed me that Saban was a little concerned about the pace of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I realized that Nick Saban was scared.
Yeah, he was worried.
And but I mean, when y'all converted it, I was like, oh no, this is gonna like deflate our whole fucking team. Like if we stopped y'all right there, I had every bit of confidence.
Well, early on, Alabama was outplaying Clemson; they just weren't scoring. And I mean, that's for like the first quarter.
Yeah, the first quarter stats for Alabama were gaudy as shit. They were on pace to if they had actually kept that pace up, they would have generated 900 yards of offense. I mean, Jesus Christ.
But
then
they weren't scoring.
Venable shut that shit down.
Running the ball was almost at will. I mean, it seemed like we had no answer for your rushing attack. So
I like that young Jacobs.
I thought y'all were in it.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, even though the scoreboard said otherwise.
No, and again, it was the fact that we couldn't punch it in, and it seemed that Clemson's defense had our number. Venable was doing some giving to us some strange looks that he just wasn't used to seeing. A lot of confusion, and all the credit goes to Clemson's defense and Dabo
Swanee.
Yeah, Alabama's future coach.
Robert Arthur predicted that Tua would get pulled on the podcast. Tua's never been on the podcast, Robert. Ever.
I wish. God,
and if he comes on, we're not pulling Tua.
If Tua ever comes on this podcast, he's going to play ukulele for us.
If we're pulling anything, we'll get Shannon to pull on the Spectre a little bit.
So, Dabo going to Alabama, do you think him...
Yeah, it's got to happen now.
Huh?
Say that again. Sorry, I just completely turned it off.
Do you think that him winning a second national championship, possibly beginning our own dynasty of sorts,
that
do you
is...
think that enhances Alabama's chances of getting him?
I think the only thing that plays into this is, does he want... Because he's still got family in Alabama. Does he want to live in Alabama, or is that ship sailed? And we're not going to know that.
He's definitely set roots down in South Carolina. Yeah,
we're not going to know. We're not going to know this for sure. Nobody is until Nick's gone. And truthfully, if I hate to say this as an Alabama fan, if I'm Dabo, I don't touch that shit. I won't touch it after Saban's gone. Let a knucklehead come in and fuck it up for about 4 years, and then maybe. But
because he's still young enough.
You don't want to be the guy that follows the guy.
Robert Arthur, you're not a hillbilly. Hey, Dane, do you think Robert Arthur's a hillbilly?
He's not a hillbilly.
No, absolutely not.
Fuck no.
He does pick guitar though. Guitar.
He picks it.
Guitar.
Does he got picks on his fingers like the banjo players, or does he use a regular?
Like the Darling family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ain't funny. The Darlings are fucking awesome.
The Darlings were awesome.
I would kick in the Darlings right here, but
there is a time for love and laughter.
Yep.
Nah, Robert's a cool dude. He's definitely not a hillbilly. I wouldn't want to cross paths with that motherfucker on a basketball court.
Yeah, there's some really great pot in Kentucky too.
Blue.
Kentucky,
that blue.
It's called the Bluegrass State.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your plan as a Clemson fan? Are you looking into the national? Oh, what's the New Orleans next year? Is that the spot?
I believe so.
Absolutely.
No.
So are you ready for Bama Clemson 5?
You know it. I cannot wait to see you in NOLA, baby.
Yeah.
I just hope we keep doing this shit every year. Just everybody else should just cancel their season when.
You look good. You guys look good with your quarterback going forward.
He's not too bad.
No, he definitely looks a lot better than Kelly Bryant.
He will be a preseason Heisman favorite.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Nah, you think?
Perhaps. Again, this is the very largest stage, the very biggest game. Tua, you saw what he was able to accomplish last year in just 2 quarters, and he was the early Heisman favorite all the way up just about until the last week of the season before he had the poor showing against
Georgia.
Well, I guess it all depends on, who the favorite is. I guess depends on who Oklahoma has at quarterback. Is Kyler Murray coming back, or has
no?
They got that Rattler kid coming in.
He's gone. Kyler Murray will be playing for the Oakland A's by this time next year.
Yeah, he'll be making that mad money, mad cheddar, as the kids say.
He's not big enough. I don't believe. That's why he's not really giving the NFL much of a thought. I don't think he feels
that makes sense. But Russell Wilson seems to be doing all right, and they're somewhat similar in stature, aren't they?
I don't know how tall is Russell.
He can't be over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but I think Kyler's like what, like 5'9"?
5'11"?
No, he's like 5'9".
All right, so
he's a little bitty fella.
What's the Clemson schedule next year, Dane? Have you looked at it? Have you taken a look at it?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure y'all play Wake Forest.
I've been enjoying today and the feeling of just
not just being national champs, but
But it was like a vengeance thing.
Yeah.
Like a retribution for last year because y'all straight up embarrassed us.
Yeah, not to the level
not the way that we did last night.
No. No, it was more of a Bama was inept on offense last year in the Clemson game, but Bama just shut Clemson completely down. But when did Bama get out? Well, it ended 24-3, right?
24-6.
Was it 24-6? Okay.
I try to forget.
Yeah. What was the score last night? I forgot. I already forgot. Don't even ring it up.
44-16.
No. Was it? Really? That's not what I remember because I don't remember a damn
thing. It's like you said. It was 40.
I have successfully, like, as soon as you said that, I got to think of it now.
No, he's right. It was 44-26, just like he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, if we'd had another minute or two, it'd have been 44-29.
Well, I thought it was 44-32.
Yeah, maybe
that's the score I keep remembering.
44-32. Yeah, sounds better.
It was a weird 12-point game.
So you guys ought to make the ride up to Clemson Saturday and join me at the parade.
Are you going to have your own float?
I mean, we can put one together real quick,
yeah, I'm working on a float right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What?
I'm gonna float it in the toilet here in just a minute. It's got some corn in it.
I believe you mean floaters.
Yeah. It's gonna float, trust me.
Well, damn, you wanted all these people to come on that pissed you off last week, and we didn't get anybody on for you.
I didn't hear that last part there.
I said you wanted all the people that pissed you off. When was it? Not last week, but the week before.
Up? Is everybody afraid of me now?
No, I think Tim would have came on, but Tim's slated to be coming on right after you.
Yeah.
I demand a public apology from that motherfucker. He said I didn't know anything about football.
Shannon, are you authorized to give a public apology on behalf of Timothy?
No.
You're not?
No.
Shit.
I don't speak for Oklahoma fans.
Andrea, we'll bring you on if you'll issue a public apology. And
oh, dear. All right. Hey, I got to go. I've got my house is on fire.
Oh, shit.
Fucking dog's tripping out. I think he's having a seizure. You guys have a great night. I loved the game, by the way. That invitation for the parade is standing.
This is Saturday. What time?
7 a.m. The stadium opens.
Tell all of the
parade starts at 10:30.
Tell all of our audience exactly where you'll be at around 8:15.
I will be standing at the 50-yard line holding Trevor Lawrence's hand.
So if you ever wanted to kick Dane's ass,
I thought he was going to say.
If you ever wanted to kick Dane's ass, that's where he's going to be.
So you'll be at the 50 holding Trevor Lawrence's dick.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Whoa! I said hand.
Oh, shit.
Prom day. I don't swing that way, bud.
He's got some pretty hair. You can imagine.
Guys, just thought you might want to know, sales aren't up, they're down. Yes, sir.
Want a new job? We've got the most. CareerBuilder.com. A better job awaits.
If you want to win the game, you gotta take a good aim and get the most marbles with your hippo. Playing Hungry, Hungry Hippos. Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
Hungry, Hungry Hippos is the name of the game, and whoever hippo gets the most marbles wins.
Playing Hungry, Hungry Hippos. Hungry, Hungry Hippos.
I win!
Hungry, Hungry Hippos, new from Hasbro.
This segment is brought to you by College Football Frenzy. For compelling football discussion, find us on Facebook today.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor.
Welcome, college football fans, to another weekly installment of Congratulations, you lost, and your team is accidentally. Tonight we will examine and identify the 5 worst coaching jobs of this season.
What's up, Timothy Ray Baliey? How are you,
guys?
How did you enjoy that game last night?
You know, honestly, like, if there was a way for both to lose, I would have felt pretty good about that. Part of me is like, yes, Alabama isn't extending that lead of national championships this year, but then the other part of me is like, I really don't want to hear about how Clemson and Alabama are the only teams for the next 365 days. So.
Well, you're going to have to hear about Clemson at least for the next few months. That's just the way this thing works. You know that. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah, and they deserve it.
You're an Oklahoma fan. You're used to that.
Yeah.
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 All right, let's
about everybody but us.
Let's talk about the 5 worst coaching jobs of the season, game by game.
Yeah, Timothy, good.
And once you go ahead, and if you've got some on the fringe that you want to talk about that didn't quite make your list.
Yeah. So Kirby's lucky he didn't make the list 3 times. Spoiler alert, he makes it twice.
Oh, Georgia fans, fuck you.
And Oklahoma's Lincoln Riley makes the list. Didn't quite make the list, but he's my number 6. The way Oklahoma started against Alabama, they really gave themselves no chance. And a lot of times that's on coaching. Just starting strong, man. You know, starting strong, getting the nerves cooled down. I definitely felt like, watching the remainder of the game, Oklahoma might have had a chance against Alabama had they, started a little bit on the faster side, and that comes down to coaching. But man, these next 5, are really, really tough to beat. And wow, that is one of the most amazing birthday presents ever. I'm gonna have to hit Landon up. One of our group chats. He just dropped a throwback Stallback jersey as a gift he received.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to get one of those myself.
Very nice. Hashtag.
Tell him to donate that to the group, and we'll raffle it off. Right?
Yeah, raffle it off. Raffle off his birthday present.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about these 5.
So number 5 is, in retrospect, kind of predictable, really. But number 5 is Jim Harbaugh against Ohio State. Going into the game, the thought process was, this is Michigan's year. They're better than Ohio State this year. They'll beat them, and it might not even be close. And they were even favored in Vegas, despite the game being in Columbus. And they got the brakes beat off of them really badly. And again, in retrospect, it actually seems pretty predictable because it's just about the same damn thing that Jim Harbaugh.
But you're looking at a situation where Michigan,
they do enough to stay relevant until November, and then get blasted by a rival, and then they're out.
You're looking at a situation where if Michigan wins this game, I mean, they got to beat Northwestern, and they're in the playoffs.
Correct.
And they were already penciled in.
Absolutely. Yeah, if it was not for this game and the Purdue game, the Big Ten champion would have been it.
Yep.
Whether that been Ohio, unless Michigan somehow lost to Northwestern, which who fucking knows.
Right.
Then Jim Harbaugh would be on here for another reason. But Jim Harbaugh is also lucky he didn't make this list twice because that was one hell of an egg he laid in the Peach Bowl.
Oh, God. It was, but at that point, I think all the air was out of Michigan.
It was bad.
Sometimes you got to cut a guy slack sometimes when all the air is pushed out.
Yeah, but
this was a Florida
laying an egg though. That's
all their air was pushed out of their dick
really
hole.
hadn't been
from their other hole
this year either. I mean, they kind of snuck into the New Year's Six. I mean, I know I'm not trying to be crazy about it because they did end up finishing 6th and 7th respectively in the polls. So they earned some respect for sure, but. I mean, we're talking about a team that got blown out twice, lost twice on their home field, and really got to 9 wins because they had 2 FCS opponents. And they made Michigan look like an FCS opponent in that Peach Bowl.
Yep. You want to stay in the Big Ten for number 4?
Yeah, this might be the most impactful game of the entire 2019 season pre-playoff. Would you guys not agree?
I would definitely agree.
Oh, there's no 2 ways around it. Completely different look altogether.
Macard and West Lafayette. I mean, it changes everything about the playoff.
It does.
I mean, you talk about 4 undefeated teams being in the playoff if Urban Meyer manages to find a way to beat Purdue.
And let's go ahead and be honest. If Ohio State wins this game and they're going in for a national championship, does Urban Meyer leave, or does he find a way to stay and work around his health problems?
He had to leave. I believe his health problems were extremely legitimate. I mean, when you watch the interview with Chris Carter, I've referenced this a couple times. Like there was legitimate fear that he could die on the sidelines during the game. I mean, it was a legitimate. I don't think Urban Meyer would give up coaching, especially at Ohio State, unless he really had no other choice. I really believe that. Florida was kind of a different situation.
I think time will tell on this.
I don't think so.
I think time will tell on this. I mean, obviously, if he grabs a job in the next 2 or 3 years, it wasn't true, but he definitely said he wasn't going to coach again. He didn't say that when he left Florida. So.
Yeah, he said he didn't see himself coaching again. He didn't rule it out 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it would take some pretty big advances in the medical science field. Not that we haven't had many of those for him to have a chance to.
So what exactly? He's got like a cyst on his brain or something. Is that so?
He has a cyst on his brain, and when stress creates it to inflame, and it blocks out some of his senses, and literally can make him pass out and potentially go into a coma and die.
Huh. And I guess there's no way that they can. What do they do with that? I mean,
they keep removing it, but it just keeps coming back.
Oh, wow.
Is that something that they could possibly turn cancerous, I wonder?
We can't keep kicking a guy with a cyst on his brain.
Nah.
We got to move to number 3, guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Speaking of laid eggs, I mean, as Joel Klatt said it, the Georgia players were tougher on Twitter than they were in the Sugar Bowl. Texas really controlled the game up until, well, really not up until, I mean, with 14 seconds left, Georgia cut it in half. But, I mean, really, or they cut it to a one-score game with 14 seconds left. But they really weren't ever in the game. There was never a time where you thought Georgia was really making a comeback or anything like that. The sperm bank was definitely closed for Kirby Smart and the boys against Texas. And it kind of started off that night with Bevo trying to kick Uga's ass for pregame.
Yeah,
he wasn't fucking around.
Yeah, that was choice.
And then the thing I disliked, I think, the most about it, and why Kirby's on the list for it, we knew Texas would have a whole hell of a lot to play for. So we knew Texas would have a chance in this game, just because you knew that this could be a huge landmark win for Texas, and for Georgia, it really is a pretty big win if they would have gotten it. Because I mean, honestly, I know last year they got to the national championship game, but what did they do before that in several years? Not a whole lot. I mean, when there was their last New Year's Six win, the Sugar Bowl win over Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep.
So, I mean, it would have been a big win, and I do think that I don't think they were motivated, but I also don't think that Texas deserves any type of slight of saying, well, Georgia wasn't ready kind of thing, because Georgia talked the talk and they just didn't walk the walk. Ultimately, when they got in the game, Texas was more physical on both lines of scrimmage for much of the affair, and I honestly think Tom Herman just completely outcoached and outclassed Kirby Smart in just about every facet. Do you guys not agree with that?
I do, and that's got to be tough for you to say, because I know you don't like Kirby, and you definitely don't like Tom Herman as well.
You're not a Herman fan? Oh, man.
He loves Texas, though.
We're huge Herman fans.
He loves Texas. He's just not
the podcast.
He loves Texas. He's just not a big Herman fan.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right,
in all reality, I mean, that was a really big step for Texas. They'll have another opportunity against LSU in the opening weeks of next season.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that game was set.
Yeah.
Man, I'm out of that.
On the other hand, they welcome in Notre Dame next year.
Yep.
They've lost a lot of players and a lot of transfers. It seems like Kirby may be losing control of his program. And if that ends up being the case, they could start out with a loss early. I've seen some experts saying that they might lose 3 or 4 games, and I can honestly see that happening.
Let's go to number 2, because this is an interesting one, and it's one that's fresh on everybody's minds.
And I hate it because I really don't like to punish people for losing to another great team. But let's be honest, last night when Nick Saban took on Clemson deserves all the credit in the world, but Alabama did themselves no favors. I mean, they played uncharacteristically poor,
they did.
And you can't do that when you play great teams. I mean, if you play that game over and over and over again, It's an instant classic. It really is.
Yeah, but let's keep the spotlight solely where it belongs. This wasn't about the players. This is about the coaching job that Dick Saban did, particularly coming from an Alabama fan, particularly in the second half. I mean, there was just no answer for what Clemson was throwing at him.
Absolutely. And I am keeping the focus on there. I feel like the lack of focus and the lack of attention to details a lot of times goes back on coaching. I mean, Alabama's defensive line couldn't get pressure. They had no answer. They had no explanation. And this isn't a very good Clemson offensive line all year. They were only okay. This was supposed to be a major.
And they looked they looked NFL ready, every single goddamn one of them the other night. And so is that a reflection on Clemson, or is that a reflection on how Alabama was able to not only prepare but also execute against that O-line?
I think it's a mixture. I do think Clemson's defensive line should have been able to control the game against Clemson offensive line. I do think there was two major strengths that somehow became weaknesses for Alabama in that game: the wide receivers versus Clemson's secondary, and I mean, situational, but I mean, keeping it to Saban, all the situational football was awful. We went from shell-shock Saban going for it on their own 35-yard line. Even though it succeeded, that was just really weird.
Well, it was an indicator to me that Saban was sensing something in the game that I really wasn't sensing at the time. I did sense it pretty hard later, is that this was a horse race and that Bama was in danger of falling behind in a major way.
I agree with you, and see what's weird though. People forget about how that first half really went. I mean, Alabama got three 3-and-outs against Clemson. I mean, those two turnovers are really what made Clemson get the first half lead.
Yep.
It really wasn't an uneven game. In fact, if you took away those turnovers, you might have seen Bama ahead by a similar score that Clemson's ahead by.
Yeah, true.
I feel like Tua Tagovailoa specifically, his focus wasn't there, and I think that has a lot to do with coaching, whether it be Nick Saban's assistant issues finally catching up with him.
I think that is definitely, you said a mouthful there, because the turnover he's having on the staff every year, I'm really shocked that it hadn't caught up to him in a major way up till now. I think it definitely did last night.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was weird. All the way across the board, there was a lot of questionable play calls on fourth down. That fake field goal was just sickening to watch because
if they would have lined up in an offensive, if they would have lined up with their offensive players, at least they would have had the correct personnel on the field to possibly pull off a first down.
They may have had an opportunity, yes.
Right.
All around, I just think that Alabama was completely outcoached in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Both sides of the football, all three sides, offense, defense, and special teams. It was just a complete and total. I feel like the coaches let the players down in this game, to be honest, because Alabama, I still believe, has better players than Clemson has, and I think that the coaching staff let them down. I really do. Kirby Smart against Alabama. When you get an opportunity, as Eminem once said, would you let it go? Would you let it slip? I mean, you get Alabama.
Lose yourself. That's from the song "Lose Yourself."
With their best player
who's Eminem
on the first
Marshall
series
Mathers.
of the game.
Oh yeah, he used to be in Leave It to Beaver.
Hey.
Oh wait, that's Jerry Mathers.
Oh wait, no. Well, who's Marshall Mathers?
He was.
That's Eminem.
No. He was on Barney Miller.
You're thinking of Hal Linden.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Timothy don't know what Barney Miller is. Do you, Timothy?
I don't.
Yeah, you young people. You young people missed out on some really good TV.
Sorry, we didn't want to mess up your Kirby thing. Let's talk some Kirby.
Because you hate the fuck out of Kirby Smart. Let's go ahead and get this straight right now. Breaking news.
I just dislike his accomplishments. Or I just dislike him.
Or lack thereof.
Yes. I think Kirby Smart, There's a lot of reasons why I don't like Kirby Smart, and none of them have to do with the Rose Bowl last year, so let's get that out of the way.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I don't like that they beat us, but I hate their fans more than Kirby Smart when it comes to that. But
I don't know. Georgia fans, they got some cool fans.
So you'd hang with
you got to look for them.
You'd hang with Kirby for an hour and drink, but if you were in a Georgia bar, you'd have to haul ass, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd go hang out with somebody else.
Fair enough.
Hey, go hang out with Sean Devine.
Yeah.
What was the game score? Was it 28-7?
You talking about how much of a lead did Georgia get?
28-7 lead on Alabama.
I think at one point, yeah.
Yeah.
28-7 lead.
And Tua actually pulled within 28 to 14. 28 to 21 before they finally pulled him. Because he still did. I mean, we did score 2 touchdowns, but it still didn't look right. Something was not right with the boy. You could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tua wasn't himself. The Maxwell Award winner getting hurt in the game, and Alabama was kind of stubborn and just, which we could say about the last one. Alabama was a little bit stubborn.
Timothy, are you in the shower?
He's pooping.
Sorry?
Are you in the shower? I'm hearing a reverberation that only comes from a bathroom.
He's pooping.
I am in my bathroom
He is pooping.
because it's the quietest place in the house.
Are you pooping right now?
I am not.
Oh, shit.
I was hoping this was going to be a theme that Dane started.
Dane started.
Dane poops first, Timothy second.
I've never pooped on the show.
Not on the toilet anyway.
So anyways,
that shit you did that one night smelled like a poop. And it was lingering like a poop.
Can we start talking about Kirby Smart?
Let's talk about Kirby Smart. That shit.
Kirby
Mark Rick
Smart
2.0
has a 28-7 lead.
Yep.
He has a banged-up Maxwell Award winner on the other side. A backup quarterback who's known to be less than optimal in terms of passing the football through his career. And he manages to find a way to not only lose the 28 to 7 lead, but then when he has an opportunity to pin Alabama deep with their backup quarterback who's had struggle in his career throwing the football against his defense, who's played pretty well, he puts in his backup 5-star quarterback as a blocker, as if this wasn't some sort of like signal like, hey, guess what, Alabama, we're going to go ahead and fucking fake it because we're definitely have Justin Fields in here to block.
Yeah.
And then ran one of the second worst special team play I've ever seen in my life.
I will say this, in Saban's defense, shit was going haywire for Alabama. Georgia was in the game. Georgia had, what was it, tied at the time? I believe it was 28 all when that happened.
It was 28 up, and Georgia had the ball in Alabama territory. And even though it was 4th and long,
it wasn't nearly as desperate of a situation as what Saban was up against when he sent the Three Stooges out onto the field for the field goal.
That was called was
fake.
I think that the actual play itself was the same.
And I think it's also important to note, too, that Justin Fields now no longer plays for Georgia.
Who's he play for now?
He's going to be playing for the Buckeyes.
He's a Buckeye now, baby.
He's a Buckeye?
Yeah. That's big news this week.
He's going to get granted his hardship waiver, so he's going to be a Buckeye next year, immediately.
Yeah. Hardship. Did he get called a word? He got called a word, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't call him words.
We'll see if he gets it, but
did you say them is referring to them?
Yeah.
Who's them?
Everybody.
Okay. You can't call anybody a word?
No.
No words?
No.
Okay. All right. So what's going to happen? I mean, Kirby Smart, he's got 2 of the worst coaching performances of the year, according to you. We're going
3
in
the top 7.
3 in the top 7. We're going in next year. You say Notre Dame's coming. What happens?
Notre Dame's coming to town.
Is Georgia going back to pre the last 2-year status?
Mark Rick, Mark Rick era.
I think they're headed that direction. They've started to grow some. They've started to grow some testicles and started scheduling some people out of conference besides Georgia Tech. And then Georgia Tech's not going to be doing any of that triple option bullshit no more, which they, once you get used to playing it every single year, it becomes redundant.
Mm-hmm. What did they fire Paul Johnson?
No, Paul Johnson retired.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Breaking
I am
news,
so
Paul
out of the
Johnson.
loop.
You are out of the loop.
Georgia Tech, the dangerous program within a couple of years.
Well, fuck Paul Johnson.
There's so many good Georgia recruits that leave the state of Georgia. If Georgia Tech starts getting some of those guys,
A Georgia Tech resurgence.
watch out. I mean, think about it. If we built a Georgia team from all Georgia that left, you'd start with guys like Trey Sermon, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. I mean, Jaden Hazelwood, the number one receiver according to ESPN in this class. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on. The guys that maybe didn't want to go to Georgia that could have gone to Georgia Tech instead of having to leave the state. I think Trevor Lawrence would have still went to Clemson.
Who got the Tech job? Who got the Tech job, Tim?
I don't recall the name. He runs a pro spread though, so they'll be able to recruit real players there.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
It is.
Because it really is a pretty decent game most of the time with Georgia. Well, not really, but it's got the potential. And every now and then Georgia Tech actually beats Georgia, and that's with the triple option.
Yeah.
So I think Georgia's going to go back to being 9-10 wins pretty much every year. They're going to turn back. They're going to turn into LSU.
Is Bama done? A few people have told me that Bama's done.
The dynasty is dead.
What's done? Is done winning not winning another national championship under Saban, or is done like shitting the bed and now no longer being?
Well, they're just not. They're just not going to have that mystique anymore, and they're not. They're done like competing for championships.
Well, you're a college football history buff, and you know what these type of games typically do to these type of dynasties.
They can.
Will history repeat itself? I'd struggle to say that Alabama is not a legitimate title contender next year. In fact, part of me thinks that they might even be more dangerous in some ways.
It could be. It could be. I just
returning some very key players.
This is a tough time I do think this is a tough time for a dynasty because recruiting's catching up everywhere. Alabama's getting the number one class, but the thing is, the number one and the number 8 class, the difference isn't very wide. Alabama's starting to lose. I'm not going to say they're going to start losing grip on the West, but Auburn should be better next year. Texas A&M
yeah.
should be
Well, how many years have we said that in a row now?
Well, they were better year before last.
Yeah, I guess.
They beat you the year before last, so I mean,
it happens.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick. They win 10 games every couple years. I mean, they're a good enough team to threaten Alabama, and maybe not win every time, but you have Auburn, you have Texas A&M who's on the rise. LSU seems to be on the rise in some ways. Florida on the east side.
Florida's balling right now.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the Big 12 there. What's in the future for Texas? Because Texas's stock is definitely up.
Way up.
Texas's stock is up. I think they're a legitimate Big 12 contender. I think it's going to be tough for them to go to the playoffs next year. I do like Ellinger because he just has that Tim Tebow-like grit, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's not the best passer. He's a tough son of a bitch is what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, just real recognize real on that. Things to be tough for them to unseat Oklahoma, though, because Oklahoma's going to be deep. They have better coaching staff as a whole, top to bottom. I'm hearing rumors that Kyler Murray may be returning for his senior season and also playing baseball next year.
What?
That could be interesting.
Wait, so he'll actually get to play for Oklahoma and play for the Major League Baseball? How's that work?
You keep your amateurism as long as it's in other sports.
Oh, I didn't realize there was that loophole.
So he'll because he's playing for the minor league circuit, then he'll be able to.
Now, that's a decision he's still thinking on, but I've been hearing, and even a Bay radio show said today that they believe Gil Brandt and a Bay radio show, which obviously the Oakland A's are a Bay team. They believe Kyler Murray is going to come back and play football his senior year, but also play in the minors.
Well, but let me ask you, as an Oklahoma fan, does it concern you if he chooses not to do so and decides to chase his dream and be a professional baseball player,
or go to the NFL, which would be a good choice this year because it's him and Haskins are the only two first-round quarterbacks if he does choose to go out. I'm concerned. Am I concerned that there will be a drop-off from one of the greatest seasons of all time in college football history? I mean, absolutely. I think I'd be stupid to think there wouldn't be one. Now, I thought there was going to be one last year, and then it turned out to be that Kyler may have been in some ways better. At least athletically speaking, I do think Baker's still the better quarterback of the two overall.
As far as a pure quarterback goes, a pure passing type quarterback, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think Baker's got the nod on that. He's got the size, you know. He's what you look for when you look for an NFL quarterback. You know, and I said that all throughout his senior year. But you know, yeah, Kyler's not. He doesn't have the look of an NFL quarterback. Man, you cannot deny the numbers he threw up. It's sick.
Oh no, and against good defenses too. I mean, not every week in and week out.
He had an average. He had an average game, which is well above average for any other quarterback against Alabama.
Tell me this, Tim.
I mean, there was no drop off in his numbers whatsoever.
I mean, we're pretty much done discussing the Big 12 when you get Texas and Oklahoma is pretty much.
That's pretty much it. I mean, you know, TCU threatens every once in a blue moon.
TCU and Oklahoma State should be pretty good next year.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is CFP contention.
Bloods. I mean, like the iconic program, right? I mean, if Iowa State's at 12-1, they're not going to the college football playoff. I don't give a fuck, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It depends. It would.
It depends on who else loses now. I mean, really, these days it's not about who's winning; it's who's losing and how they're losing. You know, that's what's dictating. I mean, we just talked about it with Ohio State and Purdue.
So tell me this, Tim. Does the Pac field a legitimate CFP contender this year? Sorry, in 2019.
It is 2019.
Yeah,
but
this year, they don't feel
this season. I don't want to get confused with last season.
Oh, fair enough.
They don't feel the playoff contender, but they feel the very, very good conference top to bottom. This will be one of the best years for the Pac-12 in a long, long time.
Wazoo, Washington, Oregon's on the rise.
Oregon, Washington, Stanford could all be top 15 teams. USC, we'll see what happens with the offensive coordinator hire since Cliff Kingsbury is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what USC does. They could potentially be in that mix, have 4 top 10, top 15 caliber teams. Washington State seems to plug and play the next quarterback. I think they'll be a good conference next year, much better than what we've seen.
What's his name?
No college football playoff contender. I don't think there's anybody that's strong enough to go through a gauntlet.
Washington State's quarterback. I don't know why.
Damn, the guy with the mustache. I don't remember his name.
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that name because it's like a very unforgettable name.
No, he was a graduate transfer from East Carolina.
All right, well,
he'll be headed to the NFL.
Let's switch over to the right coast and talk about the ACC, which was really downplayed this year as being a terrible conference.
It still is.
But Clemson was, I mean, after playing an ACC schedule, they were able to match up with Alabama good enough to do what they did. So
Clemson's been on that stage, and they were a very senior-led team. I know that they had a freshman quarterback, freshman receivers, but that team started and finished with that offense, with that defensive line. That team tasted victory against Alabama 2 years ago. They tasted defeat, and they wanted to come back and prove themselves. And that was their whole objective. The ACC might be better than we made it out to be, but it's still not a very good league, and it won't be next year. Unless Florida State turns it around. I mean,
so we looking at Clemson next year as Clemson as their CFP contender.
Yeah, I can't see anybody else. I mean, Miami's now back to being a mess.
Yep,
they're back. Yeah,
they're back.
They're back
to being a mess.
The U is back.
How about the Big now that Urban has stepped away and we've got Harbaugh still in place, and that doesn't concern anybody.
Penn State seems to be their stock has fallen a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I know a guy. I'm not going to tell you his name, that has actually said that James Franklin needs to be fired. Don't I, Tim?
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, that guy keeps talking about it over and over again.
Timothy Bailey is the man who said that.
I don't think it's so much that Franklin's a bad coach. I think it's there's some people just don't fit with certain programs, and I think he's done Penn State a world of good.
He definitely has.
He's actually brought them basically quietly erased Freudian slip. Quietly erased all of the
negativity.
The negative. Thank you.
But it's not getting them to the next level.
Yeah.
He's got them to. I
don't think Franklin's garbage, but I mean, you were talking about Penn State. I mean, a top 10 program of all time. They deserve better. Now, Kyle Golick, who wants Penn State to win more than anybody in this group, I had a phone call with him the other day, and we talked for about an hour about James Franklin, and he says that he didn't feel this year was fair to judge him off of, and maybe a year or two it will be more fair to judge him. Because right now he had a mass exodus of good players leave last year with Gesicki, Saquon Barkley. Now he's losing Tracy McSorley. He said he felt Tracy McSorley was sometimes maybe elevated and considered at a level that he just really wasn't at athletically, talent wise. And people expected them to do better than they really should have.
Yeah, McSorley showed flashes this year of actually being a truly excellent quarterback, and it never really seemed to come together for him.
No, almost
not on a consistent basis.
Almost did with Ohio State, and after that didn't happen, a lot of air out of the tire there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, give him a year or two. Cal's kind of convinced me of that. That said, I don't know if my mind's going to change if he keeps blowing games against Ohio State every goddamn season. I mean,
so do you think Ohio State don't skip a beat and it's seamless?
There's no drop off there. And,
well, I do think Ryan Day is of the same cloth of Lincoln Riley, and by that I mean is a really good young up and coming coach who has the potential to be just a fantastic head football coach. I don't think anyone would debate that Lincoln Riley right now is a top 5 college football coach. I don't know if Ryan Day will be at that level, but I don't see Ohio State losing more than maybe 2 games. Obviously 2 games would keep them out of the college football playoff. But maybe. I also think this might be a down year for the Big Ten in general. Penn State's going to be young with a new quarterback. Michigan looks like a disaster, and Ohio State keeps pilfering all their coaches over the last couple of days.
And who knows what Wisconsin is?
Well, man, we got to go to a commercial real quick. When we come back, we're going to preview the MAC and the Sun Belt Conference.
Find Smacking Off the podcast on YouTube, at Podcast Garden, Google Play Music, and iTunes. Make sure to check out the 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Friday Facebook Live episodes at #FamilySmack. Are you irritated with something we said on the podcast? Well then fuck you. Call the Smack line and tell us all about it at 304-508-BAIT. Don't be a pussy fuck boy. Call the Smack line today. Messages left on our Smack line will be used at the end of Smacking Off the podcast episodes.
Smacking Off invites you to join us on the podcast. If you have an opinion on an upcoming game, some commentary on your conference, or want to roll with one of your fellow smackers on air, hit us up. You can message us at the Smacking Off or X's and O's Facebook pages, email me at maddenshannon@toothfairy.com, or call us on the Smack line, 304-508-BAIT. And as always, fuck your team.
Please subscribe to our channel by clicking the small Smacking Off icon at the top of the screen now. Click the link at the bottom of the screen to watch last week's episode.